This week we'll be discussing the one sample t-test. The one sample t-test in my mind is one of the easier ones to work with. Basically, you're working with one sample vs a test value. Okay, understanding this is one of the key components of it. This test value, or sometimes it's called a criterion value, is a number that you're going to choose to work with. Okay? If I was going to test everybody on, let's say, the mile run, and I said everybody should be running a 7-minute mile. Okay? Personally, I can run about a 3 or 4 minute mile on my golf cart, but other than that, my number is going to be extremely high. But I take a class of, let's say, 50, and I have them all run the mile. And when they're done, I put all the numbers in, and I give it a test value of 7 minutes. Now, it's going to take the mean from everybody. Remember, we talked about the mean before. It's the average. The average number here, let's say, is 9. Okay, remember, all of our tests help us to create a conclusion that can allow us to make choices later on. So in this case, if my criterion or test value was across the board at 7, and then my mean was 9, well, now I'm going to say that they're running much slower than what I want them to be running at. Now my choice is, do I give them a different workout routine to get them closer to 7? I can test it again and again and again and see if I get closer as I go along. Or I can change the test value to 8 and it'd still be high, but it'd be a smaller portion. But once that criterion value is there, so the next time I come up and I say, okay, in 2 weeks I want them to be down to, let's say, 8:30, and I do it again and now it's closer to 8:30, well, my training is working. Let's say monetarily or business-wise, you have a coffee shop and you want to find out how quickly those lattes are coming from the point of origin, which is the order, all the way through to the time that it's being handed to the customer. And again, you can set a time. You can do this with money. You can do it with anything that's a general single one sample number. So each person is going to have one number associated with them, or one item associated with them. Okay, kind of going over it again. A one sample t-test tests the mean of one sample. Okay, the one sample procedure tests whether the mean of a single variable differs from a specific constant. This constant is your test value. Okay, we don't do a capstone in here. Okay, so we're getting right into the write-up, because this is all there really is. It's a test value versus your versus the one sample. So in this case, you can see that the boxes are here. Okay, this is the number of participants right here. Okay, right here is our mean number, and I left it in this fashion for a reason. You'll see that it's 33.0667. We only go to the hundredth position. That's 2 spaces. Okay, so when we write this up, this is 33.07, because it has to be rounded up, because the next number after the 06 is another 6. It's above 5. It's got to be rounded up. Here is your standard deviation. Here is your t-value. Make sure you watch the t-value test. The DF, okay, and there'll be a DF video. And then the significance, which is also your p-value. Now understand, I'm not going to expect you to understand all of these numbers exactly perfectly, but if you have an idea of it, you'll be able to understand. Here is the write-up, okay? It tells a story, okay? And we're going to go through each of these lines here, and then making sure that you're writing it up in the same exact fashion as I am now. You have to first understand what the variable is, and this is the variable, the frequency of personal accomplishment. And then sometimes I will give you what it is so you have an idea so when you're writing it up. So the frequency of this is an athlete, and they're being tested on, do they feel that they have personal accomplishment with their sport? This can be done business-wise. This can be done anything. They were giving a series of survey questions to answer on the idea of, are you being praised? Do you feel like you're accomplishing something in whatever you're doing? There was about 5 to 7 questions that went into this. Okay, when they were done, you came up with a mean here. Okay, so I'm going to erase real quick. And bring back up my pen, and I'm going to talk about the test value now. This test value right here, and as you can see, everything's right in front of you. You just have to start to understand it to be able to analyze it. So this test value is a number that we chose. Okay, it's like the standard. We go through life and we say, this is where I'm drawing the line in the sand. This would be like drawing the line in the sand. Our number is 15. I'm going to go through this real quickly. This theme right here, frequency of personal accomplishment, had 5 questions in it. Okay? Each one of those 5 questions had a Likert scale, which is strongly disagree to strongly agree. So when let's see, can I do it right here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? So this is question 1, and then there's 5 questions. So when I'm done, the maximum value that can be given would be 25. Why? Because each of the questions had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3. So adding this up, it goes to 25. If I come over here, it will be to 5. Okay? The mean of 33.3 means that I am well above the number. Okay? I'm well above the number. So if we have a mean of 33.3 and the test value is 15, it's above 25. So this means that there was more questions. And when this test was done, we decided that 15 was a good number. That number can be arbitrary. In a normal situation, you would add up all these. If this was a mile time or something, I would put the number of seconds, or I would put 9.9. I put the time of 9, and put in all the numbers, and it would spit it out easily. Okay. So we have a t-value, we have a significance value, we have our mean, we have all this. So understanding that this number is an arbitrary number chosen by the researcher to be able to run the test against it. So in this one, 33 is well above the mean. Okay? So now we're going to move on to the other slides and take care of business to be able to teach you how to write this up and how it works out. If you work from this slide in the end, you'll notice that I have color-coded where the numbers go. Big things. You see where this T is right here? You see where the T is right here? This little T? Okay. There should be no space between there. In this thing is the DF. Okay. Equals. There's a space on either side here. Okay. Then you've got 8.5. This should be 8.51. Okay, 8.51. P is less than 0.05. Therefore, there's a statistical. And then here you see the mean and the standard deviation. And then this last sentence talks about the test value versus this mean right here. All right, moving on. So you'll understand that this p-value right here of 0.00 is pretty much the best you can get. Okay? If it's below 0.05, it is significant. If it is above 0.05, it is significant. Okay? The below 0.05 is less than 0.05, and you always tell by the number there. And this one over here would be greater than 0.05. So you'll see right here where it says P is less than 0.05. That tells me that it was significant. This is the first sentence. It is your intro sentence. Okay? To examine the participants' perceptions of the theme of frequency of personal accomplishment and one sample t-test was performed. I know it doesn't sound right, but it's grammatically correct. Things to key on. Most of the time you're going to find yourself doing this. In this case, there's one. Every one of these have the same concept, but you have to show all your variables. You have to tell the people what test you're running, okay? And you have to tell them what variable you're looking at, okay? Put a period there. So the bottom line is that your first sentence should look just like this. Just changing the variable and the adding the variable in there. Now understand we're working with a theme here. You may be working with a theme, or you may be working with this. Real quick on a theme. A theme is something. If I was to give you a quick analogy, you go to McDonald's. It says burgers, and underneath it says Big Mac. It says whatever hamburgers are available. The hamburgers title is the theme of everything underneath this. In this case, if we're running a survey, we have a theme, which is the heading for this, and the questions underneath there that are written and answered go back to answer the question that goes with that theme. So, what are the hamburgers at McDonald's? And then from there, it goes from there, and you'll be able to answer the questions based on that. And when you're done, you'll be able to completely answer the question of what are all the hamburgers at McDonald's. So this is your intro sentence. If you watch the p-value, the next sentence down, the results show a significant difference in the theme of frequency of personal accomplishment. So, okay, the results showed a significant difference. How do we know it's significant difference? It's a less than sign. It was at 0.000. Okay? Showed a significant difference in the theme of frequency of personal accomplishment. Okay? This is our variable. We will continually repeat variables. It's a dry write. Don't add fluff words. Okay? And then we have the T here, which is 29. So this is my DF. This is my T value, and this is my my sig, or my significance value. Also the P value. You notice the T is italicized and right up to the parentheses, and over here the P is italicized. It's small, and there's spaces in between all the equals, and anytime there's an equal sign, greater than, less than, any kind of symbol. Make sure you watch the symbols video. Okay? This is the next sentence. What does the sentence tells me? That there was a significant difference, and then I would be able to tell 30, and since it's the DF is n minus 1, which is the participants, there was 30 minus 1 equals 29. 1 was free to vary. Next, therefore, conclusion, there was a statistical difference in the frequency of accomplishment. Now here's your mean and your standard deviation. Okay? I know that the test value was 15. In my next sentence, we're going to talk about this. If I don't put that in there and I have the boxes, I would be able to say, okay, then, I understand. I understand. They were feeling a high level of personal accomplishment. Okay? And here is the standard deviation. Okay? Moving on to the next slide. Due to the test value of 15, remember that test value 15, and the sample mean, and that mean itself, that 3307, that box right there, is the sample mean. That's the sample of those 30 people. And using the word sample is important because it's not a population. Remember, population is everybody. The sample is who you're working with. So the sample mean of 33.07. The participants believed they had had an experience of high value of personal accomplishment. This right here is your concluding statement. Okay? This right here will be able to tell, will pretty much explain that next sentence. So if I knew if this was above 15, so if it was above 15 as it is, 3307, I know that since it was above the mean, I know that they believed that they had personal accomplishment. Below, if it had been like 18, I'm sorry, let's see, 9.40. Okay, if this number right here, that mean would have been 9.40, I would have said they did not believe they had high level, any kind of personal accomplishment at that point. They weren't feeling personally accomplished. Okay. Again, this is the complete write-up. Please prepare your homework in the same way I proposed it. Those of you that are struggling with this is how statistical writing is performed. It is dry, straight to the bone, just the facts, man. Just the facts, ma'am. Okay? Ma'am or man, I don't need any extra words. I don't need you to change the word to make it sound better. It sounds perfectly as it is. It tells a story. By the time I'm done as somebody that can read statistical writing, I would be able to tell that these people have had a high level of personal accomplishment. If you try to fix it up from now on and try to make it look better, you're going to get marked down. So please put it in there as I wrote it. All the numbers, everything. People are putting theys and thems and everything. Understand that they and them are all vague words. When you're writing and you write the word they, who do you mean? Well, as a researcher, I'm now looking for who's them and they. Are you talking about you, the participants, group on the corner? Make sure that you're writing up exactly as it is. Thank you.